Education is at the center of building human capital. Sadly, it has not been given the biggest percent when the capability of access to education is tackled. Children living in poverty face many barriers to accessing an education. Some are obvious, like not having a school to go to, while others are more subtle. Increasing access to education may benefit a society's general health and lifespan, build economies, and even prevent climate change. However, in many developing countries, children's access to education might be limited by a variety of circumstances. Language barriers, gender norms, and reliance on child labor can all block progress toward providing a high quality education. Around the world, children are deprived of education and learning for various reasons. Poverty remains one of the most obstinate barriers. Children living through economic fragility, political instability, conflict, or natural disaster are more likely to be cut off from schooling, as are those with disabilities or from ethnic minorities. Without a quality education, children face significant obstacles to work and earning potential later in life. They're more likely to have poor health outcomes and are less likely to engage in choices that influence them, putting their capacity to design a better future for themselves and their society at risk.
In the present day, healthcare has come to mean every aspect, service, and device for taking care of people's health. Healthcare is not a thing to be given, bought, or sold, but an entire ecosystem with many unique moving parts that are only connected by virtue of the existence of the patients. Each patient, having individual needs, will have a landscape that suits the need of their own health. Health insurance was initially an inexpensive, stopgap, stop-loss measure to help individuals mitigate expensive, life-threatening health risk expenses. Now, through 100 years of government intervention, law and health policy, health insurance has become bloated, expensive, inefficient, and difficult to access and use. Other than the falling economic situation, healthcare is a big concern in the Philippines that had always been the case, not to mention the worst of it in the midst of the impact of COVID-19. In this dark time, the global leaders must take into account this situation and ways to alleviate the suffering of the common people. We believe that healthcare is a fundamental human right and every person should be able to access high-quality, affordable care. We also believe that healthcare should be affordable for everyone regardless of their income or location. Despite the fact that the pandemic is infecting more people every day, they are unable to access adequate medical treatment. Global leaders have a responsibility to ensure that all people have access to quality healthcare. We urge you to take action to improve healthcare.
I am just an ordinary person, a simple person living in this world. Excessive hunger can be caused by a lack of nutrition. So some people, whether young or old, experience illnesses and disease caused by excessive hunger. Hunger is commonly experienced by others, especially children, who do not eat nutritious food. But what is even worse, others, because of extreme poverty, they just endure hunger in order to survive. We're lucky. You know why? Because we have a lot of food to eat. A stock of food we have all day. But sometimes, some of us, food just wasting. They're just wasting on it. And the food they have, the food they waste, they doesn't value the food at all. Hunger and malnutrition is a serious thing. It's not a joke, especially when it comes to poverty. Poor nutrition and hunger can result to death. In order to survive the hunger and malnutrition, I suggest to all of you, embrace agriculture, refresh to the crisis, advocate us in gender equality, educate ourselves in hygiene and sanitation, and the last but not the least is let's practice ourselves to not wasting food to reduce food waste.
These days, even children are aware of the phrase pollution. Since it has become so widespread, practically everyone has accepted that pollution levels are rising steadily. The contamination that is taking place due to numerous pollution is what we mean when we talk about pollution on Earth. The fundamental case of all this is human activity, which degrades the environment in several ways. Each of us is significantly impacted by pollution in more ways than one. It functions in strange ways that are occasionally invisible to the human eye. Pollution is unnecessary in people's need. Also, it affects sustainability in planet Earth. Pollution is quite a dangerous thing because the air we absorb from it causes heavy breathing due to lack of fresh air. As a youth, we must advocate a human program that prevents pollution and promote proper knowledge about pollution. As I see, many people doesn't have the right knowledge and they are not aware of the consequences. The solution that I would suggest is to stop burning plastics, and we must promote tree planting in order for us to have fresh air in the future. And we must conserve energy and stop cutting trees. Because by burning plastic, it can damage our ozone layer, so as an individual, we must follow and protect our environment for the future inhabitants.
The Philippines is the country located in Southeast Asia comprised of more than 7,000 islands. Poverty has proven to be one of the most significant challenges facing this country and its citizens. Filipinos are having a hard time surviving in such difficult conditions, and more are falling into extreme poverty. According to the Asian Development Bank, the major causes of poverty include low economic growth, a weak agricultural sector, increased population rates, and a high volume of inequality. Because of these factors, there are a lot of effects of poverty in the Philippines that make it difficult for people to live in such circumstances.
A mother, a father, a daughter, or a son, a teacher, a farmer, a construction worker, or a student. No one is exempted, and just like me, I am all the things that you see, but there's something that you don't notice. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. What do you do when you feel like screaming but no one seems to hear you? Our mental health is emotional, psychological, and well-being that affects how we think, feel, and act. We all have mental health, and we all deserve the availability of help when we need it in times of anxiety, depression, and all other conditions from the mental health condition spectrum. Since the National Center of Mental Health launched its pandemic hotline last 2019 until May 2020, the center has recorded of total 6,905 calls. How about those unreported? Those who have no idea that suicide hotline exists. Those who do not know where to ask or help. Last July 2021, the World Health Organization said in a statement that the mental health impact of the pandemic will be long-term and far-reaching. Everyone is affected in one way or another. No one can easily mask or hide what they are going through, although suicide hotlines are there. Not all aware and have access, and that's why it's very important for us to check on our friends and the other people around us. Be a good listener or be there for them. Let them know that you care, that they are not alone when severely needed. Help them and visit a mental health professional in your locality. Don't shut them down. Listen. Just listen. Sometimes we all need somebody's empathic presence. Love them for all that they are, including their mental health. Sometimes, some things won't make sense, and that's okay. COVID 19 kills, but insensitive words kills in a second as we continue to fight this crisis. As we go on working behind screens, let us remind ourselves to always be kind, to always choose kindness. It's okay to rest as a listener because you matter. Stop the stigma. My mental health, your mental health, our mental health matters you.
Dear world leaders, it's time to recognize that women's rights are human rights. When we talk about violence against women, we're not just talking about sexual assault and domestic violence. We're talking about our bodies being treated as subjects, our voice being ignored or silenced, and our dreams of becoming something great being denied because of who we are. We know what it means to be strong and powerful and independent because we are those things every day. We want more than anything else in life, equality for all gender and races, equal pay for equal work, education for all children without discrimination based on race or gender. Here are some ways that we can all work together to ensure that these rights are respected throughout the world. Number 1. Support organizations like the Global Fund for Women, which works with local organizations to provide women access to emergency contraceptives and other health services.
Future pandemic preparation and response. COVID-19 taught the world how important of preparedness. The politicization of pandemic lead a lot of unnecessary damage. Another lesson is the science must pair equity, but it can actually make inequality worse. This is obvious when we look up how low-income countries struggle to get vaccine, while weather countries stock up. More resilient healthcare systems are also must, as well as more coherent global plans on how to respond. The world must also invest in research on contagious diseases, zoonotic diseases, the effectiveness of the outbreak and responses, and more.
Climate change. Since before until now, this one debated by many a majority. That until now it will never be solved or even paying attention to the many people. It's one of the reasons why our natures became more angry to us. Typhoon, floods, landslide, hot weather, and so on. We experience today. How dare you to blame others, and how dare you to become angry with our nature? You didn't even ask yourself what is the reason why we experiencing this. World that full of changes, sometimes toward development, sometimes toward destruction. Sometimes we blame others for what happens today, without even asking ourselves, did it did wrong to our nature? Have you also experienced blaming yourself of what happens today? What is the purpose of others' changes if we ourselves are not even able to change? We saw people throwing garbages everywhere. We are in an open field land or even in the ocean or the sea. What will happen to our sea creature? What about our rivers that used to be laundry before? But now, what happened? Is other miners keep it clean? Is miners concerned with it? What about our trees that are inhabited with birds and other animals that have been cut? Is others replace it by planting another? Look at our farm. Before it's full of tallest and strongest trees, but now look what happened. It's look like a desert. Climate change refers to a long-term shifts in temperatures and weather pattern. This is the effect of human activities. See, we are also the reason why we experience this. Now we know about climate change. Now is also the right time for us to act. If we are the reason why we experiencing this, then why we don't even make any step to slowly return it to normal? Yeah, I know, it is very impossible. But how? Are we going to let it get worse? Wake up! Wake up! Wake up to the fact that you are also the one who destroying our world. We still have a little time. Now it is a time to change. Let us start by me, you, them, all of us. Let us take step, action to save our world before it's too late.